You've probably heard of introverts and extroverts, but did you know Carl Jung's original personality types go much deeper? What if the key to unlocking your true self has been hidden in your unconscious all along? Today we'll uncover Jung's 4 fundamental personality types and how they shape your behavior, career, relationships, and even your destiny. Carl Jung's personality theory, the hidden map of the psyche. Who are you? Really? Not your job. Not your habits. Not even your thoughts. Carl Jung believed that your personality, your true psychological makeup, is a complex living structure shaped by forces both conscious and unconscious. Beneath your daily roles and routines lies something deeper, a psychological compass guiding how you think, feel, sense, and imagine. This is the map of the psyche, and understanding it is the beginning of knowing who you truly are. Unlike modern personality tests that box people into labels or surface-level traits, Jung's theory reaches into the soul. It isn't just about what you do, but how you process reality. He proposed that each person approaches the world with 2 fundamental dynamics: an attitude, introversion or extraversion, and a set of core functions: thinking, feeling, sensation, intuition. Let's start with the attitudes. Jung's definitions of introversion and extraversion are often misunderstood. They're not about being shy or outgoing. They are about where your psychic energy flows. Extroverts direct their energy outward, toward people, events, and external stimulation. They feel energized by engagement with the world. Introverts, on the other hand, draw their energy inward, toward reflection, inner thoughts, and solitude. Their vitality comes from the inner landscape. This isn't about preference, it's about your natural orientation, how your psyche interacts with life. Jung emphasized that neither is better. We all have both tendencies, but one is dominant. And when this energy orientation is mismatched with your lifestyle, you may feel burned out, disconnected, or like you're living someone else's life. Now, onto the second part, the 4 psychological functions, the tools through which we perceive and judge reality. 1. Thinking. You analyze, compare, and make decisions based on logic and structure. 2. Feeling. You assess situations through values and emotional resonance, not sentimentality, but ethical evaluation. 3. Sensation. You rely on the tangible physical world. You trust what you can see, hear, touch. 4th. Intuition. You perceive patterns, possibilities, and meanings beyond what's immediately visible. Each of us leads with one of these functions and represses another. The balance or imbalance between them affects your choices, your relationships, your emotional well-being, and even your creativity. So why does this matter? Because according to Jung, most people live from only a small portion of their psyche. We often identify with our dominant attitude and function and reject or ignore the rest. But your wholeness, your true self, includes all of these parts. Knowing your psychological type isn't about limitation, it's about liberation. It helps you stop fighting your nature and start working with it. Because the moment you understand how your energy flows, how you process life, and which parts of yourself you've neglected, is the moment you stop chasing outer success and start living from inner truth. And that is where real transformation begins. Thinking types. The logic of the mind. In a world of noise, the thinking type is the one quietly asking, does this make sense? Carl Jung saw thinking not merely as being smart or intellectual, it's a core psychological function, a way the psyche makes sense of the world by applying structure, logic, and analysis. Thinking types seek truth, not in how something feels, but in whether it's coherent, rational, and consistent. But Jung took it deeper. He divided this function into 2 key expressions: extraverted thinking, TE, and introverted thinking, TI. Though both rely on logic, their paths to clarity are strikingly different. Extraverted thinking, TE. Organizing the outer world. Extraverted thinking is results-driven and objective. It organizes the world around it. People with dominant T use external facts, data, and proven systems to reach conclusions. They value efficiency, order, and measurable success. Imagine a CEO creating an optimized workflow for thousands of employees, cutting costs, managing operations, and scaling systems. That's T in action. It's concerned with what works. Margaret Thatcher, Britain's Iron Lady, embodied T. Her leadership was defined by decisive, pragmatic policy. She wasn't swayed by sentiment. She sought effectiveness, even if it meant being unpopular. T-types make excellent executives, strategists, managers, and scientists. They bring order to chaos, but may struggle with emotional nuance or inner complexity if left unbalanced. Introverted thinking, TI. The inner architect of ideas. Introverted thinking, on the other hand, turns inward. It seeks internal precision. TI types build mental models, complex, intricate frameworks of understanding. They ask not what works, but what makes sense to me. They value clarity of concept over external approval. Their logic is often elegant, refined, and deeply personal. Take Elon Musk. He doesn't just adopt systems, he rebuilds them from scratch. Whether launching rockets or redesigning transportation, his mind works like a logical architect, questioning assumptions, reimagining rules, optimizing from first principles. That's the hallmark of Timauka. TI types make brilliant inventors, theorists, engineers, or philosophers. They excel in complexity, but may get lost in abstraction or overthink instead of act. The strength and the blind spot. Thinking types bring a rare gift, the ability to detach from emotion and see problems clearly. They cut through the fog of bias and get to the truth. But without balance, this clarity can turn cold. Te may ignore the human cost in favor of the plan. Tai may become perfectionistic or emotionally disconnected. That's why Jung insisted that real growth comes when a thinking type integrates their opposite function, feeling, not to become emotional, but to develop empathy, ethics, and soul. Because a mind without heart is sterile, but a heart without mind is blind. So whether your logic turns outward to organize the world or inward to understand it, if you're a thinking type, your path to wholeness begins when you remember. Truth is powerful, but meaning is what makes it human. Feeling types, the language of the heart. When you hear the word feeling, you might imagine mood swings, sentimentality, or emotional instability. But Carl Jung offered a far more profound perspective. For Jung, feeling is not the opposite of thinking. It's a rational function in its own right. It doesn't measure truth in logic, but in value. Feeling types ask, is this right? Is this meaningful? Does this honor what matters most? Just as thinking types assess truth and structure, feeling types evaluate worth and connection. But like thinking, Jung divided feeling into two distinct expressions. Extraverted feeling, phi, the harmonizer. Extraverted feeling is attuned to the emotional environment. It seeks social harmony, empathy, and alignment with shared values. Phi types instinctively adjust their behavior to meet the emotional needs of others, often putting group cohesion above personal preference. They're the glue in families, the unifiers in teams, the peacemakers in conflict. Oprah Winfrey is a prime example of FE in action. Her ability to resonate with millions, to reflect emotions, soothe pain, and elevate others comes from this external orientation to feeling. She doesn't just listen, she connects deeply and makes others feel seen. Phi types thrive in roles where interpersonal dynamics matter: counseling, teaching, diplomacy, public service. But when unbalanced, Phi can lead to self-abandonment, constantly pleasing others at the expense of inner truth. Introverted feeling, Phi, the inner compass. Introverted feeling, by contrast, turns inward. Phi evaluates the world through a deeply personal, authentic moral code. Phi types don't ask what others value, they ask, what do I value? They may appear quiet or reserved, but inside them burns a powerful fire, the desire to live with inner integrity, no matter the cost. Carl Rogers, the father of humanistic psychology, embodied FI. His client-centered approach was built on radical empathy, not by imposing guidance, but by honoring the client's unique inner voice. Phi doesn't speak loudly, but when it does, it speaks truth. Phi types are idealists, artists, healers. They have strong ethics and often champion the marginalized. But when undeveloped, phi can become rigid or judgmental, retreating into moral absolutism or isolation. The wisdom of feeling. Feeling types possess an extraordinary gift. They humanize the world. They remind us that success without soul is hollow, that relationships need care, and that inner conviction is as powerful as outer achievement. But they too have a shadow. Fei must learn to listen inward. Phi must risk sharing outward. Jung believed that true growth happens when feeling types begin to integrate thinking. Not to become cold, but to bring clarity and structure to their values. Because what we feel is sacred, but how we live it determines our legacy. In a culture that often overvalues logic, feeling types offer something radical: the courage to care. And in the journey toward wholeness, that might just be the deepest intelligence of all. Sensation types, the power of the present. In a world seduced by abstract ideals and future fantasies, sensation types are the sacred anchors, the ones who live grounded in the now, attuned to the texture of reality. According to Carl Jung, sensation is one of the 4 primary psychological functions, and unlike thinking or feeling, it doesn't judge, it perceives. It tells us what is, not what it means or whether it matters, but the raw data of experience: color, texture, sound, weight, time, temperature. The concrete. Sensation is the gateway to the world. It roots us in the body, in the senses, in the present moment. But like all functions in Jungian typology, sensation comes in 2 distinct orientations: extraverted, SE, and introverted, psi, each offering a powerful yet different way of navigating reality. Extraverted sensation, C, the master of the moment. Extraverted sensation is the outward-facing expression of the senses. C-types live for direct contact with life. They are bold, responsive, alert, and fully immersed in what is happening right now. For them, meaning isn't found in theory, it's found in action, performance, and instinct. Serena Williams is a perfect example. On the court, her mind and body move as one, responding to the ball, the crowd, her opponent, all in real time. She doesn't get lost in overthinking. She feels the moment and trusts it. C-types thrive in athletics, entrepreneurship, the arts, anywhere the world moves fast, and presence is power. Their strengths are spontaneity, courage, and sensual intelligence. But the shadow of C is impulsiveness or addiction to stimulation. If unbalanced, they may chase experiences without depth or reflection. Introverted sensation, psi, the guardian of memory. Introverted sensation, on the other hand, turns inward. Psi-types perceive reality through the lens of inner recall, personal experience, and stored impressions. They're not just seeing the world, they're comparing it to what they've already lived. Everything is measured against an inner archive of sensory memory. C-types often have an extraordinary memory for detail, texture, rhythm, and routine. Think of Warren Buffett. His decisions are rarely impulsive. They're based on deep internal analysis, historical patterns, and tried-and-true principles. C doesn't move fast, it moves surely. C-types are often the preservers of tradition, systems, and stability. They excel in fields that require precision, consistency, and memory. Finance, medicine, craftsmanship. Yet the danger of C is rigidity, clinging to the past, fearing change, or losing touch with the spontaneous flow of life. The wisdom of the senses sensation types remind us that life is not lived in theory. It's lived through the body. They ground us in the real, the taste of food, the warmth of sunlight, the sound of truth in someone's voice. In a culture that idolizes speed and simulation, sensation types call us home to what is concrete, real, and present. Jung knew that without sensation, the psyche becomes unrooted, all vision, no substance. To truly live, we must feel the world beneath our feet. Intuitive types, the visionaries and seers. Where sensation anchors us in the present, intuition opens the door to what could be. To Jung, intuition was the psyche's way of perceiving invisible patterns, hidden connections, and symbolic meaning. It is the function of possibility, not actuality, a leap into the unknown. Intuitives don't just observe the world, they feel into its future. They live not by what is, but by what might emerge. For these types, reality is not fixed, it's symbolic. A conversation becomes a metaphor, a fleeting idea becomes a seed of revolution. Intuition looks past the surface, reaching deep into the archetypal, the unseen, and the future. But even this function splits into two unique forms: introverted intuition, NEI, and extraverted intuition, NE, each with its own flavor of foresight and genius. Introverted intuition, NI, the inner prophet. Introverted intuition is private, penetrating, and often mysterious, even to the person who possesses it. NI types have a gift for seeing the inner essence of things. They distill vast amounts of information into a singular insight, often without knowing exactly how they arrived at it. NI types are often described as visionaries, mystics, or strategists. Their minds are like deep wells, drawing from unconscious reservoirs of meaning and symbol. They often have vivid dreams, strong gut feelings, and a sense of destiny. Carl Jung himself was a master of NI. His entire psychological model, from archetypes to the collective unconscious, emerged from his inner visions. His Red Book wasn't theorized, it was received through intuitive dialogue with inner figures. The strength of NI lies in clarity, foresight, and depth. But its shadow is isolation, obsession, and detachment from the present. Extraverted intuition, NI, the creative explorer. Where NI narrows to a single insight, extraverted intuition radiates outward, generating idea after idea in a stream of constant novelty. NI sees endless possibilities. Everything is a spark, a symbol, a door to somewhere new. NI types are quick-witted, improvisational, and insatiably curious. Their strength lies not in finding one answer, but in generating many, and doing so with enthusiasm and flair. Steve Jobs embodied NI in action. He didn't just imagine products, he reimagined how people interact with technology. His ideas weren't plucked from manuals. They were intuitive leaps, sparked by metaphor, aesthetics, and cultural vision. NI thrives in storytelling, innovation, marketing, and design, anywhere imagination becomes reality. But its weakness is restlessness, distraction, and difficulty committing to one path. Seeing the unseen intuitive types are the soul's dreamers and architects. They teach us that success isn't always built from what we can measure. Sometimes it's born from what we dare to imagine. Jung believed that intuition was the voice of the unconscious breaking through, a whisper from the self, guiding us toward our path, often long before we understand why. To embrace your intuition is to say yes to the unknown, and to the deeper meanings woven beneath the surface of your life. The 8 personality types, your inner compass. Carl Jung didn't invent personality types to put people in boxes. He offered them as maps, a compass for navigating the inner terrain of the psyche. At the heart of Jung's theory are the 4 functions: thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition, each of which can operate in either introverted or extraverted form. Combine them, and you get 8 core personality orientations. 8 ways the soul might express itself in the world. Let's break them down, simply and symbolically. 1. Introverted thinking, TI. The philosopher. Quietly dissects reality, seeks clarity, internal consistency, truth. Detached, analytical inner world of systems. Famous archetype, the strategist. 2. Extraverted thinking, TE. The commander executes plans, organizes external systems. Objective, efficient, action-driven, leads with logic and measurable outcomes. Famous archetype, the executive. 3. Introverted feeling, Phi. The idealist deeply values authenticity and integrity, makes decisions based on inner alignment. Private, soulful, emotionally profound. Famous archetype, the inner poet. 4. Extraverted feeling, Phi. The harmonizer. Attuned to social needs and emotional dynamics. Leads with empathy, connection, diplomacy. Expressive and people-focused. Famous archetype, the empathic leader. 5. Introverted sensation, Psi. The archivist values tradition, detail, and memory. Anchored in past experiences, sensory clarity. Responsible, reliable, nostalgic. Famous archetype, the guardian. 6. Extroverted sensation, C. The realist lives in the now, responds to environment. sensual, action-driven, present-minded, loves aesthetics, adrenaline, and direct experience. Famous archetype, the performer. 7. Introverted intuition. 9. The mystic sees beneath the surface, decodes hidden meanings. Insightful, visionary, future-focused. Often misunderstood, deeply symbolic. Famous archetype, the seer. 8. Extraverted intuition. Ni, the inventor. Sparks with possibilities, ideas, and connections. Curious, spontaneous, imaginative. Lights fires of innovation and insight. Famous archetype, the explorer. Each of us leads with one dominant function. It shapes our strengths, struggles, and style of consciousness. But it's not the full story. These types are starting points, not cages. Jung warned, the shoe that fits one person pinches another. Personality is not destiny, it's a pathway to awareness. Personality versus soul, don't get trapped in a type. It's tempting to find your type and say, this is me. The commander, the idealist, the mystic. Labels are comforting, they give us a sense of identity. But Jung would urge caution here, because what we call personality is often just the ego's mask, a provisional self we construct to survive the world. And if we cling to it too tightly, we never grow beyond it. You are not your type, you are something far deeper, vaster, more dynamic. Jung called this deeper force the self, the totality of your psyche, both conscious and unconscious, known and unknown. Your dominant personality function is merely the first voice that speaks from this inner totality. But there are other voices, the repressed, the opposite, the disowned. And here's the paradox. Real growth comes from developing your opposite. The idealist, phi, must learn to externalize action like the commander, te. The realist, se, must awaken to inner meaning like the mystic, nai. The philosopher, tai, must feel like the empath, phi. The harmonizer, fe, must form personal truth like the idealist, phi. This process of reconciling opposites, shadow and light, logic and emotion, past and future, is what Jung called individuation. It is not about becoming a better version of your type, it's about becoming whole. The world loves labels because they simplify, but the soul is not simple. Your type may help you understand your habits, but your destiny lies beyond it. In the journey of individuation, the type becomes a tool, not a prison, a bridge, not a border. So take the map, but don't confuse it with the territory. The path to wholeness is not to cling to who you are, but to walk toward who you were meant to become. Personality versus soul, don't get trapped in a type. There's a quiet danger in knowing your personality type. It gives you language, it explains your patterns, it feels like truth. But it's not the whole truth. Jung warned us, the ego is only the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it lies the self, vast, mysterious, and whole. Your type is simply the doorway, not the destination. Personality, in Jungian terms, is a system of preferences, ways of perceiving and judging the world, introvert or extrovert, thinker or feeler, sensor or intuitive. But the psyche is not static, it's alive, it seeks balance, it longs for integration. True growth begins not with affirmation, but with expansion. Let's say you lead with introverted thinking, TI, precise, analytical, controlled. Over time, the soul will call you to explore extraverted feeling, phi, connection, empathy, vulnerability. Not because it's comfortable, but because it completes you. Or maybe you lead with extraverted intuition, nei, wild, spontaneous, overflowing with ideas. But your healing lies in introverted sensation, psi, structure, memory, grounding in the present. Your dominant function is your gift, yes. But it also casts a long shadow, a blind spot, a rigidity, a way of seeing that leaves other ways unseen. The journey of wholeness, what Jung called individuation, is the sacred task of integrating the parts of ourselves we neglect, reject, or fear. It's not about changing who you are. It's about becoming more of who you were meant to be. It's about walking into the forest of your opposite and discovering that it, too, belongs to you. So let your type be a mirror, not a mask. A compass, not a cage. The soul will not be boxed in. It is a circle, endlessly unfolding, shadow and personality. What you refuse to see, For every light cast by the personality, a shadow is born. Jung's shadow isn't evil. It's simply what you don't want to see. It's what your dominant personality type pushes into the basement of the psyche. But what's hidden doesn't disappear. It waits. It acts out. It sabotages. Every type has its shadow. The thinker may dismiss feelings as irrational, yet secretly yearns for emotional connection. The feeler may avoid logic, fearing it will make them seem cold, yet struggles with setting boundaries. The intuitive may ignore details, stumbling over the present in pursuit of the future. The sensor may resist imagination, afraid of chaos in the unknown. The shadow is not the enemy, it is the unlived life within you. And here's the paradox: your shadow holds your power. In the shadow lies your unclaimed creativity, passion, courage, and instinct. But to access it, you must stop pretending it's not there. You must stop saying, "I'm just not that kind of person." Because you are. You are every kind of person. The question is whether you'll own it or let it own you. Shadow work is not self-improvement. It's self-reclamation. It asks, what am I avoiding? What am I projecting onto others? What parts of myself did I learn to hide? And it dares you to bring those parts into the light. To become whole, you must embrace your opposites, not just know them, integrate them. Let the feeler learn logic. Let the thinker cry. Let the intuitive build something real. Let the sensor dream. What you deny denies you. What you face frees you. Relationships and personality. Why we're drawn to our opposite. There's a strange magnetism in human connection. We're often drawn to our psychological opposites. Not because they're easy, but because they wake us up. A dominant feeler, FE, may fall for a reserved thinker, TI, fascinated by their clarity, steadiness, and cool logic. But over time, they may clash. The feeler wants harmony, the thinker values truth. Yet if they grow together, they balance each other. An intuitive, NI, may be captivated by a sensor, SI. One sees possibilities, the other honors tradition. Sparks fly between vision and stability, chaos and order. These tensions are not mistakes, they are invitations. Each relationship is a mirror, reflecting both your strengths and your missing pieces. Compatibility isn't sameness, it's complementarity.